Hey, what's going on, guys? Kind of a rough video here. Just going to be showing you some of the things that I use in the studio right now. I'm not going to talk necessarily about the tech, though. It's about what supports the tech, the stuff underneath, the stuff behind the scenes that you don't really see on camera, because I don't want you to see that stuff on camera. We're talking specifically about cables, so how I manage my cables, the fact that you can't see really anything hanging down except for the stuff that's plugging directly into the wall or into a surge protector, and then also the desks that I use. These are not IKEA desks like a lot of the bigger tech tubers use. I actually bought these off of Amazon, so I'm going to give you kind of a detailed review, if you will, of stuff that's not really tech related, but again has a lot to do with the tech that I show off here in the studio and use every day. So stay tuned. We're going to start first with the tables, and then we're going to go underneath so I can show you how I managed everything cable wise. So again, starting off with the desks, these are from a company called Tribe Signs, and I've actually used them in the past. In fact, in this video right here, I put together a black version of this desk here, and I actually bought two of them because I just wanted more space. I wanted to have at least two PCs up and running so I could use one maybe as a streaming build, and then another one for like my editing / gaming workstation. So it can be a little more versatile in here, and sometimes I'm not the only one working out of here, so it is nice to have two, and two desks is definitely the bare minimum for two PCs. That gives me just enough space left over to kind of film. You can see this is typically where I film most of my videos on the channel, and this gives me enough space to build and stuff. I'd like to have more room. This is only like a 10 by 10 or an 11 by 11 room, so it's not very big. Hopefully when we move into a house by this time, maybe next year, I'll have a much bigger room out of which to work, and then I have the closet over here, and that has all the hardware inventory and all that good stuff. But anyway, onto the desks again. These are actually fairly simple to put up. They're only about $100 or so US each, which is pretty cheap for desks, especially when you talk about furniture, any kind of furniture really, they can get pretty expensive. But these aren't too bad, and they're very well built, very sturdy, and that's thanks in large part to the metal feet underneath. So you can see the way these work. When you set them up, each leg or each little beam will have a number, and the instructions included will show you which numbers to connect to which in a certain order. You have these little screws here, actually like bolts that keep everything together, and then you have feet that are actually slightly raisable, which is cool. So you can screw these in or out a little further to either increase or lower the height of the desk. Maybe you have like a room that's slightly lopsided, or maybe just part of the desk you notice is leaning, then you can adjust either one or all of the leg heights to kind of smooth things out a bit. So you can see the frame extends all the way under. It's hard to see. I'm gonna try to brighten it up just a little bit here. There we go. Metal beams all the way across. And a really cool thing about this desk, because this is an L-shaped desk, right? So a lot of L-shaped desks will have something like right here, like another leg, just to support that corner. But you can see I have maybe a 50-pound computer there, and there's no need for a leg because of the way it designed it. Kind of like little cross beams there that keep everything supported in the corner, which means you can freely kind of move all the way around the desk and not have to worry about hitting a random leg sticking right there in the middle. All in all, I'd say probably about 30 minutes or so worth of setting up per desk, which isn't too bad. I have the kind of oak finish here. This is just particle board, like it's nothing super fancy. Again, you're only paying about $100 for these, but I like this finish a lot. I went with the black finish before, and it was okay, but it was very easy to see scratches and dents and stuff. And I build on these desks, so they can get kind of messy. They can get pretty scratched up fairly easy. Again, fairly cheap finish, but it looks decent, especially on camera. So this is kind of a budget solution for those interested in saving, especially on the furniture side. These are, I think, pretty good and viable options for anybody looking to just build a simple little office setup without spending tons of cash. By the way, if you want something other than this color or black, they also offer them in a slightly different wood finish. You can get these in white, I believe, and even a darker wood color. So plenty of options to choose from. They're all linked down below if you're interested. They are affiliate linked, so it gives me a small kickback if you buy anything from those links. I do appreciate it. Otherwise, just trying to kind of share some of the stuff I use and why I use it, because I'm not interested in spending thousands of dollars on desks either, and frankly I don't have the time anymore to build desks like I'd done in the past. So we're just going to stick with what we have for the time being. I think I'll actually end up taking these to the new house as well if we again move into one this time next year. So that's that. Those are the desks, again, from Tribe Signs. I have 2 of them. One thing I do want to mention before we move on to the cable management is that the L shape is not reversible. So if you notice, if I get really far back here, this side is slightly shorter than this side. And you can't reverse those two. I mean, technically you can, but you don't want to. Otherwise, you're going to have these little routing holes here exposed on top. This would normally be flipped upside down, right? Because this piece would go here, and then yeah, anyway, backwards. So I actually kind of drilled pilot holes into the opposite side, and then I have the bolts coming in from the bottom, so that's what holds everything in place. The only reason I had to do it like this is because the longer sides wouldn't work. It would basically extend the second desk way further back to about here, and that would leave me next to no room for the camera setup, and I wanted some space back here for extra storage and whatnot. So that's why I did what I did. Again, you don't really notice this is the only spot, and I could really cover this up with maybe like a mouse pad or something. And then the others are covered up by like the monitor and the computer. So if you want to do that, it's possible. You need to use some power tools, but like I said, pretty versatile. I drilled right through those things, and they're still holding up fairly strong. Now on to the cable management. This is, I think it's a little weird for me to film. I'm literally laying on the floor. But these are cable routing sleeves. They're J-shaped, and I'll show you some up-close B-roll shots here. But basically, these have the potential to house tons of cables. I'd say upwards of a dozen, and you know, it's gonna be pretty jam-packed them. But it will keep all of your cables against the underside of your desk, which means you won't see any of them hanging down, and that is just such an annoying thing. It's a pet peeve of mine. It's one of the only, I guess, downsides of a desk like this is the fact that it really has no, there's no back wall, right? So anything hanging down behind the desk is just going to be exposed to everybody everywhere. So that's why I bought these, and I think they really come in handy. They're not expensive at all. The only issue is because these are so thick, they're made out of a really thick plastic and they have an adhesive already pre-attached. You're going to have to cut these if they're too long by default. You need to use a Dremel, or that's what I use. I use a Dremel to cut these down to size so that they actually fit underneath in between the frames of the desk on either side. So I have one there, and then I have a shorter one on this side, and then another short one on this side, and that's how I keep all of my cables in check. And then if you see, even if we go, you know, eye level, I'll fix that. I don't know what that is, or is that it's bothering me. But eye level, basically nothing, right? No cables, and I love that. That is so satisfying. Sorry about the focus. This camera gets really thrown off when I bump ISO above 400. But yeah, so that's also very important for me. On camera, I want to keep cables as hidden as possible, and things are looking pretty good right now. The adhesive is very strong. These have been on the undersides of the desk for weeks, and they haven't come down at all. But if those are not going to be enough for you, let's say you have just a few tiny cables as well, and you need those in special places, something else I want to show you guys is this kind of clip right here. So this style clip, very simple, same thing, adhesive. It's not as strong though, so if you run a ton of cables through these, they might detach even from a metal base. But you can see these are just a simple little lock mechanism. Just slides in. You can pry it back out if you want to add more cables or remove them. And these are especially good for smaller cables. That's actually what I'm using over there. We have like the keyboard and the mouse cable kind of running behind, and I didn't want those hanging either, so I used some of these to keep those in check. And these are actually pretty cheap as well. Again, they're just plastic, they're very affordable. You can get quite a number of these for like 10 or 20 bucks. So I'm also going to link these along with those J cable management, whatever you want to call them, cable sleeves down below in the video description. It's really what I wanted to show you guys in this video, or those 2 or 3 things, because those can make or break a setup, right? If you see cables just hanging down behind, that's not appealing. Nobody wants to see that. And that's why I invested, again, maybe like 50 bucks in total for the cable stuff, and then the desks for about 100 to 150 bucks each. So I think that these go a long way for the money. I think they're great value, and when done right with cable combs, cable sleeves, you can really just really step up your setup game. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Again, just a rough little video here showing you guys some of the stuff that I use. If you want to see anything else behind the scenes, kind of vlog style, I will be more than happy to do that. These videos are pretty easy to make, but hopefully this saves you a few bucks and gives you some ideas for your setup as well. See you guys in the next video. This is Science Studio. Thanks for checking out a room with us.